Good evening, guys. It's Canadian Off-Road 4x4, and today I'm bringing you a very exciting video. Today we are doing dyno runs with my Tacoma. So, I mean, you already kind of understand what that's all about there. So we're about to basically find out how much power this truck's putting down again. If any of you watched my previous videos, you saw my last dyno run. That was on heavy 265, 75, 16 Toyo MT tires. They weighed about 60 pounds a piece, and I was stock other than an AFE filter, dry AFE filter on the stock airbox with an MBRP turn down exhaust slash muffler. So, and now what we're doing here is we're gonna do a stock tune. So basically it's like 100% stock, like it is like the last video. The only difference is now as I'm on some 20-inch wheels, 265 50/20s. They're Falcon tires. They're like a highway tire. So I'm running on those. The reason why I'm running on these pavement tires, as you probably saw from my Raptor Liner video, is simply because of how COVID-19 is, and I can't do any off-roading or adventuring. So I'm running a pavement tire basically to save my mileage and save some money. So, and also because I have Ovtune, so it's a lot more fun to drive this truck now too with the street tires. So, but yeah, so it's more or less a daily use for that. And so we're gonna find out what she's running stock with that. So that's gonna kind of show you guys what it's like when you put on heavy off-road tires. You're gonna exactly see how much power you're actually losing to the wheels for that. So that's gonna be a little education there for us. So I'm right now just in the midst of putting on the stock file. So we're just gonna finish this up here. Okay, so now I have to switch off the ignition and then start the engine for 60 seconds. So we switch it off, hit the OK button. So we wait 20 seconds. But anyways, so like I said, we're gonna find out that about the tire weights and how much that makes a difference. Because I do notice a huge difference between running the heavy tires and these street tires. I mean, I threw on my 33s after I ran on these highway tires for a bit, and man, did the truck feel like a slug. So yeah, so now we're gonna see what it actually makes for a difference here. So I'm just starting the truck right now, and so it idles. And so then afterwards, I don't know if I'm gonna do it. I might do both tunes. I still have the beta tune from 2.0 because I've heard some people say that there's more power out of the beta tunes. So maybe I will do that. I also have gear lock on that tune. So I might run that tune. And then after that, I'll swap to the other tune after about 2 or 3 pulls probably. And then we'll see how much the new final 2.0, I guess, kind of is going. It's just missing those gear lock and performance features. So we're gonna see how much power increases actually to the wheels with the Ovtune, because I mean there is a massive difference, but I haven't actually daily driven this truck yet on these tires yet, so I have no idea what to expect there for that. So we gotta see what the power difference is for that there too. I will do a stock filter again, and then also the AFE filter, just to see if maybe Ovtune even corrects a little bit more, or it gives me more power through it, or if it's the same results. So with stock, I got 5 foot-pounds of torque. With Ovtune, we'll see if we get any differences there. And then also at the same time, I'm gonna actually turn on my AC just to show you guys that, of how much power is actually lost through the AC. Because I mean, I notice a difference through the AC. So we're gonna find out what that's like. And shut the truck off, and the tuning is complete. So we're gonna start driving to the dyno here shortly. I gotta stop at the bank, and then we're gonna be heading out to the dyno, and you guys will see this truck strapped down and getting some power numbers here. I'm really excited again. Let's watch. That's a lot more than I made last time.
What would it make last time?
Last time was 208 and 205 actually. So I've got actually got a lot more torque there, it looks like.
You do something to it?
Swap tires. 215 and 230. Nice. .201 horsepower and 221 torque. Went down. I didn't like that. Still 202. 202 and 221. 203 and 223 torque. .220 horsepower, 242 pounds of torque.
Oh shit.
Yeah, there we go.
20 horsepower gain, 20 torque gain. It really wanted to stop at like 62.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
.220 at 5,200 and 240 at 4,650. So it's consistent now at 220. Nice. Oh wow, that drains it. 208 horsepower at 225 torque. Damn, that's with AC on.
Holy shit, really?
So we just finished all those dyno runs, as you see there. We did 2 or 3 pulls of stock, 100% stock with the stock airbox, stock filter. Then we did 2 runs with the AFE filter. For some reason, it was not liking the AFE filter. I'm not sure if maybe it's because we were shutting the truck off and restarting it. Because if you guys know from the explanation, every time you start these trucks on stock tuning, it technically runs a different map. So, but it seemed like it was kind of consistent of staying down in that low end power. So I don't know if it wasn't accommodating it or what was going on there. So, but anyways, we did those. And then I swapped to the Ovtune and we did 2 or 3 pulls there. And yeah, I mean, the differences are all there. I have to go over the graph and just kind of explain everything to you guys and stuff like that. So there is a decent power increase obviously with the Ovtune, as you can see there. It is kind of hard without gear locking or the way this truck drives on the dyno to fully get it to accelerate nicely. So it might not be showing as much of that low RPM as you guys want to, you know, get to see, simply because on this final tune there's no gear lock yet, so it kind of sucks there. But when I get the final tune, I'll probably be either on these pavement tires or the big tires, the Cooper ST Maxes, and we'll be able to get a full power readout on that there. But at least you can see the difference also on what it's like running heavier tires versus stock tires. And also on the very last run there, that was the AC turned on. You can see how much decent power actually drains there. It could be even more than that too. It might vary on how much you drive, but I mean, right off the bat, running that, we cooled it down for a couple minutes, but then afterwards, yeah, so like you lose a decent little power from the AC turned on there. I mean, I always felt it when the AC was on. I felt that little power loss there. So but like I said, I got to go through the graph and then we'll kind of go through it, and that will be it for this dyno run there. So I hope you guys like the dyno runs there, and I hope this kind of shows you a little bit. Keep in mind, according to the computer, it was 50-some% humidity It's about 27 to 30 degrees Celsius, which is about 90, I think, outside today. So probably not the best day for a dyno, right? But I mean, this still shows me something. So maybe when I go back again, it'll be a little bit cooler. When I did those dyno runs, it was in the fall. So it was probably around the 25 degrees, maybe 20 degrees. So the sun wasn't out as much either at on that day too. So we'll compare a little bit of notes there and the graphs. I'll find my old piece of paper with my dyno graph, and we'll kind of compare how the stock curve went versus the other tune with the tune on there and all that there. So stay tuned. Just to give you guys a little like reference and comparison here. So we're gonna stay steady at 62 miles an hour. I'm just kind of cruising lightly. I'm gonna go completely off my foot here, and then I'm gonna pin it. And that's 140. I'm at home now. I grabbed my old dyno sheet. Sorry, I'm just kind of adjusting here. It's gonna be kind of hard to show you everything, but I'll do my best. So this black line that you see here is my stock horsepower. Then here is my stock torque down there. So just right off the bat to show you stock for stock. So this was my stock air filter as well. And this was on running the heavy mud terrain tires. I made 205 at 54 and 209 torque at 50-50. So to start out right off the bat then for those, my stock number as is like this as well was 204 at 49 and then 222 at 4,700 RPM. So that's quite a bit of torque difference there for just swapping tires basically. But as I said, so as following the curve here at around 20, let's go generic. So we'll say 2,500 RPM. I was making it about, what, 40 horsepower, I guess, let's say. So then if we look here for the black line, which is right here, at about 2,500 RPM, I'm making about, probably around the same, actually, horsepower-wise, it looks like there. So around 25 was around the 40 mark too. The torque. So we look at torque here. So here's the black line here, all the way down here, and it falls up like this and goes a little wavy and then back up like that. Down there, 2,500 RPM then, for the torque, you're making it about 75 foot-pounds. Yeah, so let's say about 80. Say about 80 foot-pounds of torque. So then we come over here, if we look at 2,500 RPM again, you got the dotted line here. We're making about 25, probably making about 80 foot-pounds again, roughly. I'd say it's pretty close to being the same, actually. So right off the bat, the same there, all the way through. But basically at around 4,500 RPM. For some reason that the graph is actually going through this, which kind of sucks. Okay, sorry about that whole kabuffle. I'm probably editing half of that little ending video out. So to compare these, this was actually dated at 9/6/17. This is 7/28/20. So therefore, it's about 2 months earlier than what I would have originally done. So the CF was 1.11 all the way across for all these. The CF for these runs was 1.3, and then 1.4 was pretty much consistent there. So we're just going to kind of go over the runs again. So like I said, stock was that at 204, 2022. Then for some reason, we don't know exactly why. We kind of finding it's a fluke or something. I'm not too sure what happened here. But for some reason, this dark blue one here, the second run, I got 215 horsepower and 230 torque. And all we did was basically cool it down. We're not too exactly sure what happened there. So that was run number 4. So that was number 4 there. Then the next one was the AFE filter. All I did, we shut the truck off, let it cool down, swapped filters, gave it a little bit. And for some reason I was only making 201 and 221, so pretty much the similar of the stock. And then we gave it cool down again and tried again. But the difference here is, so the first run was 201 at 53 and 221 at 46. The horsepower actually was peaked at 203 roughly, basically, at 4,850 RPM. The torque was about the same at 223 at 4650 again. So for some reason the AFE filter wasn't doing anything there. I'm not too sure. Maybe after all these years my AFE filter might be going bad. I mean, it's kind of natural that you would actually want to probably swap your filters out after so many years too, because maybe that's another theory I can test too. Maybe I'll grab a brand new AFE and throw it in there afterwards. But then after that we ran the tune. So right now we let it cool off probably for like 5 minutes, I guess, kind of the same way we did with the other runs. Swapped on the tune, and right off the bat I made 220 horsepower, the most it's ever made, at 4,850 RPM, and the most torque I've ever made at 242 at 4650 RPM. So the same max RPM, but about 20 more foot-pounds of torque. Let it cool down, and then we ran it again, and we got a consistent number of a 220 at 5250, so a little bit more RPM this time, and then 240 at 4650. So again, so then that was pretty much it there. I mean, it was getting hot and I was running out of time because I only had an hour. So that was my appointment. That's what I ran. So that was it. So then he asked if I was done. I said, no, what the hell? Let's do it. So we ran the AC. I ran it basically right after this pull. Had a minute or two to cool down. And he ran it with the AC on. And this is what you get, guys, with running your AC. Roughly, I guess, right? Like I said in the previous, is 208 horsepower and 225 pounds-feet of torque. So you're losing about 15 or so foot-pounds of torque, and about 10 horsepower or more, maybe even more. Like I said, it'll vary on your temperatures, obviously, or how much maybe you run it. So, but yeah, you are basically going from Ovtune to a stock power there for what it runs there. So can't really see the lines too well here, so give me a second to kind of mark them, and then I'll kind of see where they're all lying at. Alright guys, so I found a little bit more light. I guess this might help. So looking at the stock run, there's that, but so there's the AC run here. So it was actually up here a little bit versus number 1. But remember, I'm on the Ovtune with this, so it's actually making a lot more still from up there versus at 25 was, like I said, 40-ish, and up here at 25 I'm actually making about 75. So there's kind of showing you the consistent there. But otherwise, if you wanted to see like my best run, which was being number 5, which is the teal one. But here's the thing. So the teal run, he actually only got it to about 3,500 RPM. And actually, I guess that's where my torque is there too. There's my torque line there. It's actually right beside it. So we started at 35 and just climbed straight up. So it's not exactly the best run, but it made the most power. But I mean, it's only a one power difference, right? So if anything, we'll go with number 6 here. So the orange one. So comparing it to stock to now, we are going up at 2,500 RPM. You are about, say, 60. Yeah, I'd say about 60 horsepower versus, 40. Maybe, the 40-ish, I guess. So about 20 horsepower down low there. And then you're sitting at about, let's say, at 3,000. The black line is sitting right there at about 75, maybe less. And then you're probably at about 80 or 90 here. Maybe this is even less than 75 for sure. So there's a difference there. It looks like stock run on the horsepower for some reason overtakes my Ovtune on the 6th run. Because there's the black line up here. And then the orange line is down there. So it's actually a smidge difference there. And then basically it looks like the black line is overpowering all my power for some reason on my very first run. You can see that all these are runs here. And then down here, right here is the black one. And then, like I said, for some reason, run number 2 just made a big power difference there. We don't know why, and we think it's a fluke, like you said, but we don't know. And then basically it looks like black kind of falls off at 40, let's say basically, yeah, just after 4,000 RPM. So it makes power between 3 to 4, and then after that it just drops down from 4 and on. So after 4, Ovtune is basically kicking in there. And so we got the teal line here, which is the first OV2 run, and they're just going straight up over here. And then the black line is staying consistently down here around the 160, 170 mark. And then right about 200 at, 4,700 RPM, right? So, because that's where it peaked at torque, right? Or peaked at power at 4,900 RPM, which is right around there. But then obviously Ovtune made it more at a little bit higher there. So that's kind of the jump around. Definitely, like I said, you're feeling the difference there. It's like all through the power band there. But like I said, I don't know why Stock Run was running this, but I kind of am disappointed a little bit being the fact that it's kind of hot out. But I mean, this still shows me more than enough, and it basically showing me that, street tires versus off-road tires, and the Ovtune itself too is making some good power. I wish I had the gear lock, because then we could actually just get a consistent, smooth run on the dyno, but we didn't. So the next time I maybe go on the dyno, if you guys, I don't know if I'll do a video or not. Maybe I'll just do something else, but maybe I'll just do it for my own, personal thing. I'm going to probably be either on the street tires again, like I said, or the 33s, and we'll have the gear locking, hopefully, and the performance and all that. So, but I hope this kind of shows you guys what it's like running between different tires, whether it's the factory tires or some street tires you have, and then the off-road tires that you may have or running, and then what AC does to our trucks, and then also basically what Ovtune is doing on the dyno. So the fact that I have so many poles and the lines are not exactly solid, that's what's kind of screwing me up to show you exactly everything. So sorry about that, but I mean, you guys just look at each dyno run there. I'll label them, and you guys will see the differences there. Hopefully you see them on the curve there while I, showed you on the GoPro there. So have a good one, guys. I'm going to be doing a bunch of more videos coming up. My next video should be one of my LED videos there. I'm doing HID versus LED, and then aux beam series shootout, and then also comparing aux beam lighting to the Morimoto 2-stroke LEDs. So stay tuned for those, guys. Those are going to be a process, because I have to wait till about 10 or 11 o'clock every night to basically start those videos. So I'm going to be exhausted, but worth it. See ya. Boo. Just to conclude everything, not sure how I spotted this just now. I'm right now in the process of editing the dyno video. What I did notice is that there is a huge difference actually with tire changing. Right off the bat, what I noticed, the torque here. So the torque, you got the torque here at say 2,500 RPM. It's making about 70-ish. And then the torque here on this one was making about the same, pretty good. Then what I noticed on the mud terrain tires, so this is the stock one is on my left here. When I looked at it, I watched the curve there, and between 25 and 3, I didn't even get past 100 foot-pounds of torque. On this, between 25 and 3,000 RPM, guys, 25 to 3, so this is 500 RPM. I went from that same number at 70, and then all the way up to 3, I did over 160 foot-pounds of torque. Holy shit. Like, I had to stand back here and look. I am not kidding, guys. Look at this. Look at this. Right here. It's going to be a little hard. So right here, 2,500 RPM. The wave goes like this, and just from here, it's so flat, there's 3,000 RPM. I don't make anywhere near 150 until after about 3,700 RPM. Over here is the torque, and I go from 2,500 RPM here, there's 3,000 RPM right there. That torque is right there. It's already at like 155. And then at 3,500 RPM, it flattens out a bit, but it's staying about 160, 170. Ah! Like, can you believe that? Like, huge. I'm gonna double check everything now and make sure I'm not missing anything else. But that, like, huge. For horsepower, okay, so don't forget, guys, the black lines on each one, these are stock runs. This is a tire swap. That's it. This is tire swap, and this is from the heavy tires to the street tires. For horsepower, if you go between 25 and 35, at 3,500 RPM for the stock tuning with street tires, 3,500 RPM was about 120 horsepower. 3,500 RPM was about 95 horsepower. So there's a little jump there. And then we go, say, 4,000 horsepower's at about 150. 4,000 here, about 115. Damn. And then it basically falls on its face at 5,000. Whereas this at 5,000, it, I mean, it doesn't really go past that, but that's stock for stock there. Like, holy crap, guys. No wonder the truck's a slug. I really hope that helps you guys for the heavy tires versus street tires and what massive difference there is. Like, damn. Okay, and then just another one that I found here. So if we're going to compare from my first run on the heavy tires to the last run I did, because I did make more, right? I went from 205, 209 to 208 and 216/219. So on the green run here, I was actually sitting at about 60 foot-pounds at 2,000, and then about 3,000 on the green line. I was actually at about 155, 160 on the heavy tires on my last runs. Now over here, when we look at it, if you wanted to compare it, say, to Ovtune, for instance, we are looking at a massive difference there, because right off the bat with number 6, we are sitting at over 100 foot-pounds of torque at 2,500 RPM. So that's pretty dang good there. And then right off the bat, between 25 and 3, at 3,000 RPM, I'm making about 160, 170. So, like I said, it's kind of consistent almost there, but you got that more low-end torque versus what it was at 2,000, right? So, like, at 2,000, there's nothing there for us, but 25, there's a big difference there. So, wow. I think that's more than enough excitement. Gotta go. Lots to do. Lots of beer to drink. But more or less, guys, tires make the most difference. You do lose a lot, and it may not be at the peak or whatever. Like you said, you may not see a lot of difference there. But through the whole power band, there is a lot of differences there. And that's why, like I said, when I switch tires, man, do I feel like a slug. So that shows it. Later.